Welcome, everybody. My name is Lieutenant Ralph Pasculo from the Public Safety Department here at St. John's University. I'm the training coordinator. I've been here at the university for about 10 years now, and I retired from the NYPD after a 30-year career with the police department. I retired as a deputy inspector from the emergency service unit, and today we're going to talk about active shooter preparedness, some things that you can do that can make yourself safer if that situation ever happens here at St. John's. So what is an active shooter? An active shooter simply is a person that comes onto our campus with a firearm and wants to kill as many of us as possible. Very, very simple explanation. You just come here, they have a gun, and they want to kill as many people as they can. And they know they only have a few minutes. FBI statistics state 4 to 9 minutes are what these situations last. So it's gonna unravel very quickly. A quick history about shootings, and we won't dwell on this because you can just look in the paper almost every day and see a shooting somewhere across the country or in the world. But I remember all the way back to the Texas Tower incident back in '66, California State University in '72, Virginia Tech in particular. I was already here working at St. John's, and when I saw these numbers, I was appalled. 32 students killed, 25 wounded. Could you imagine that happening here at St. John's? Northern Illinois, 6 more killed, 18 wounded. But Columbine High School, although it's not a university, I wanted to talk about it just for a moment. 13 students killed, 23 wounded. But what happened here, that was the catalyst for change in the police department on how we respond to these things. Normally, police departments would arrive at the scene and they would have to call SWAT or emergency service. Those are the people that have the heavy weapons and vests, and those are the people that would go in and address the shooter. But in this case here, the police waited outside, and it took a long time to gather those SWAT teams because they don't have the resources that New York City had. So every 30 or 40 seconds, another student was being shot while police waited outside. Horrible, horrible situation. So that was the catalyst that changed training and how we respond to these things. Now the first officers on the scene, when they arrive, they go right in. They hear shots fired, they go and they address the shooter. They might step over people that are wounded and hurt, but they have to get to the shooter because they know 4 or 5 minutes these guys are going to take their own life. The police might have to take their life, or they're going to continue to kill students until they're addressed. Sandy Hook Elementary School, 26 kindergartners killed and their teachers trying to protect them. I don't think there was too many people in the country that didn't find this very disturbing. We had a gunman here at St. John's University September 26, 2007. This is a view from our surveillance camera in Taffner Fieldhouse looking at the gunman as he walks by with the rifle in a bag, and he's wearing a Halloween mask. You can see the mask at the bottom of the screen and the rifle right next to it. In about 6 or 7 minutes, public safety officers responded and apprehended this individual even though they were unarmed. And it was due to students who called us immediately when they saw this individual get out of a black cab at gate 5. He paid his fare, he picked up his rifle and put on his mask. The cab driver didn't think twice about it, and he just drove away and let this student come onto our campus with this rifle. The police were never notified by that man. We don't know who he is, but we had good students that called us immediately. The first call said the student had a stick and was wearing a mask. The second caller, someone maybe a little more observant, actually saw the sight of the barrel sticking out of the bag. And he was eventually apprehended right outside of Marillac Hall, just above that area where the statues are at the cafeteria. So what I want to point out, though, is right in this picture in front of the bookstore, you'll notice that we have 18 police officers just standing there waiting to be assigned. And what's important about that is that we have so many resources in New York City with 36,000 police officers, paid police officers, 14,000 paid firefighters, that the response here was tremendous that day. Detectives, canine, emergency service people, helicopters flying above the university looking at our rooftops to make sure there were no snipers. It's absolutely amazing, as opposed to some other jurisdictions where you have to wait sometimes an hour or two to get the resources you need before you can make an entry. That's not the case here in New York City. You know, as terrible as these incidents are, I do want to point out that inherently universities are safe places. There's 20 million students in the United States that attend colleges and universities. And as opposed to those people 18 to 24 years old that hang out on the corner in the neighborhood as opposed to going to school, those people that hang out on the corner have a 5.5 times greater chance of being the victim of a homicide than a student does. So inherently, we're in a very safe atmosphere. But we'd be remiss if we didn't tell you that these things could happen and you need to take some safety precautions. So the response is going to be very simple. It's going to be public safety, the police, the Office of Emergency Management, and in New York we like to say one call brings it all. You're going to get a tremendous response. You can look at these pictures here on the slides on your screen, and you can see this is actually Gate 4. This first picture is Gate 4 of our university. There are police officers there watching students. The helicopter is hovering above the law school looking to make sure there's no snipers on the roof. And the other picture on the bottom is those are actually officers doing a warrant entry to the student's home to make sure there were no additional weapons or computer things that they needed or explosives. The police response, it's going to be very quick, it's going to be very dynamic, and these scenarios escalate very quickly. Remember, as I said before, these situations unravel in 4 to 9 minutes according to FBI historical tracking of these past incidents. So once the first shot goes off, the shots are going to escalate very, very quickly because the gunman knows or the gunwoman knows that they don't have much time to complete their deed. How do I get the word out to you? How do I get the word out to people that something terrible is happening here on the university? It's really important that when you come to work at the university, student, faculty, whatever you may be, it's so important that when you log on to UIS, the university's information system, that you sign up for the emergency contact number. The first screen really that's going to come up on the computer is going to be, please enter an emergency contact number. And it's very, very important that you put the number of the phone that you carry here at the university. We need to know that number because I have a system called the MIA3 system. I can go onto a special site with a username, a password, and I can send a message almost to 20,000 people who have already signed up. It's just like a reverse 911. I can send a message, and the message might be, gunman on campus, shots fired, please hide and shelter in place. More info to follow. If I can just do that within the first 2 minutes of a situation, and people can find areas where they can hide and shelter and not be outside where the gunman might be shooting, we can save lives. So it's very important that you sign up so I can send that message. We have the capability, but it's up to you to sign to give us the number to call. The other thing that I have, which I think is absolutely amazing, I can use my cell phone and I can call a special building access code. It allows me to speak over the loudspeakers in every building, academic building or residence hall, a group of buildings, or the entire campus. And I could let you know what's happening just from my cell phone. So that means I could be a block or two away from the danger with the hostage negotiator, with the police department, maybe if it's a different type of incident with the fire chief, and I could let you know what to do in an emergency from the loudspeakers in the building. Absolutely amazing technology. The other things that we have, of course, you'll be interested as a faculty member. Remember, every telephone in all of our classrooms now allows you to call 911. And also, if you call public safety at 5252, that is going to tell me the room number and the building you're in, with a code on my phone back at the Command Center for Public Safety. It won't tell me who you are because many people use the classroom, but it will tell me what room and what building you're in. So even if you just pick up the phone, call 5252 and drop the phone to the floor and never say a word, I can send officers and find out why did that happen, what's going on. Fantastic technology again. Okay, and there are many other ways. If you're on your computer on St. John's site, a pop-up screen will come up and let you know that there's an emergency. All of the TVs around the campus will have a ribbon that goes along the bottom that will tell you what the emergency is in case you're not listening to your phone or whatever the situation might be. So there's a lot of different ways we can get the word out. Okay, these are some of the information hotlines. If you get a chance, please write them down and put them in your phone. It's important that you have them. The most important number, though, I just want to repeat, is the emergency number for our command center here at St. John's. It's 718-990-5252. That's the emergency number. These numbers here will let you know, they'll give you some information, but they're not our emergency numbers. These are really info hotlines, okay? Tips. What can we do to make ourselves safer if something terrible is happening here at the university? And I think that's what you all want to hear right now. But I have to say, these things are fluid. Every situation is different. So, you know, nothing is guaranteed here. But we all feel, especially at public safety, that it's better to know these tips than not to know them. Okay? You're involved, you're outside, it's a beautiful day, you're walking across the Great Lawn, and all of a sudden you hear shots fired. You see people fall. You can see smoke coming from someone. It looks like what might be the barrel of a gun. You can actually see the muzzle flash and you hear the report of a gun. What do I want you to do? Immediately, if you're within 15 or 20 feet of a building, I want you to drop anything that's going to slow you down and get into that building. just dive into that building, close the door behind you, and get deep into the building, get to a phone, and let public safety and the police department know what's going on. If you're not near a building, you're in the middle of a parking lot, you're in the middle of the Great Lawn, and there's no place you can go, I want you to put the largest mass of object between you and the gunman you can possibly find. Big oak tree, a statue, stones, landscaping stones. If you're in a parking lot, get behind a vehicle. If you're going to get behind a vehicle, think tactics. Vehicles have trunks and they have engine compartments. If you're behind the trunk of the car, remember the metal in those quarter panels is very thin, and a bullet that comes out of an assault rifle travels at over 3,000 feet per second. So it'll go through those quarter panels like butter. So you need to get to the part of the car that has an engine block. The bullet will strike the heavy metal of the engine and stop, and you'll be safe, okay? Get behind a mailbox, get behind a fire hydrant. If you have to, lay in the street and use the curb as part of the cover that you have, if that's all that's available. These are all things that I want you to do. Just think tactics. I want you to put something very, very large and strong and heavy between you and the gunman, and keep it between you, okay? Remember, there's a difference between cover and concealment. Concealment is basically you're hiding from the gunman. If you saw a clump of bushes out there and you were able to hide in the clump of bushes, those bushes would not stop a bullet if he fired at them. But if the gunman doesn't see you in the bushes, he's not going to fire, is what we hope, obviously. But that's always second best. The best is to put ballistic cover between you and the gunman. And there's many things that you can use. Find any type of object that has mass. The corner of a building, a heavy door. If you're inside, you're looking for soda machines, you're looking for copy machines, you're looking for file cabinets stocked with paper, packed with paper and cardboard. These are the types of things that you're looking for. So concealment is good, but ballistic cover is always the best. Okay, concealment is second best. So if you're outside, again, and you couldn't find concealment, you couldn't find cover, you couldn't get into a building, you were too far away and the gunman is advancing on you, what do we want you to do? Now this doesn't come from me. It comes from the National Tactical Officers Association, it comes from the FBI, it comes from the NYPD, it comes from Homeland Security. All of those sites recommend fake death. The bullets are going off around you, there's dirt flying all over the place, people are lying down wounded, they say fake death. Lie down with them, with the wounded, don't move, don't breathe, and let the gunman walk on by. He'll think he shot you too. Okay? Not a good scenario, but better than just standing there letting the gunman walk up on you and shooting you. Once this guy is gone, once this gun person is gone, we want you to get out of that area as quick as you can and then call 911. Let us know, let the police know how many gunmen were there, how many guns did he have, what kind of guns did he have, was it a handgun or was it a long gun, a rifle? The police will respond differently to those types of things. Police have protective vests they wear under their uniform that can stop a handgun bullet. And they usually go against people that have handguns. But when they have to respond against someone with an assault rifle, their bulletproof protection that they keep under their uniform is not sufficient to stop that bullet. They need emergency service or SWAT. They need people with heavier vests, helmets, and bigger weapons. So the police are really going to be interested if you can tell them what kind of weapon that they have. Even if you're not a gun person, just if you can tell them it was a gun that he had to hold in two hands, let them know that as opposed to a handgun. Okay? If you can provide any type of description of this person, fantastic. But let us know where you are. Let us know how many people around you need medical attention. And if you heard any explosions when this guy was using his gun. Because sometimes explosives and these guns go hand in hand with these types of situations. Okay? So let's switch gears now. We're not outside anymore. We're not looking for trees and engine blocks and things like that. We're inside. We're in our classroom. We're in our cubicle. We're doing, we're correcting papers. We're doing clerical work. Okay? And the message comes over your phone, hide and shelter in place. So you're going to promise me right now that whenever you're back to where you're at work, that you're going to look around and you're going to find an area that can be locked and secured and sealed. It's not the time to do this when the message actually comes over your phone and it's a real situation. The time is to do it tomorrow, as soon as possible, the day after you see this video, when nothing is happening. That's the time to look for the place where you need to hide. Okay? And what we want you to look for is a place that can be locked, a place where you can pull the shades, shut the lights, a place where it doesn't have flimsy walls like sheetrock or those kind of material type of barriers that go around some cubicles. So that's not the kind of stuff we want you to find. We want you to find a substantial place where you can hide and lock the door. And if the door doesn't lock, then see what's available to barricade that door. Okay? Always shut the lights, make it dark, put your cell phone on silent, not vibrate. It has to be on silent. Lower your computer screen if you had a laptop, or if there was a TV or something on in the room, turn it off. We don't want any light emitting from under the door. If there's a glass panel in the door, we want you to try to cover that. Make it with opaque paper or a piece of clothing, whatever you can do to close that up. Okay, and I understand there's a difference between doors that open in as opposed to opening out. A door that opens in can be barricaded a lot easier than a door that can be that pulls out. But you have to think of whatever you can possibly do. It's your life. You have to become the MacGyver and tie it off any way you can. Use shoestrings, items of clothing, tie it to heavy pieces of furniture, whatever you need to do to make that door difficult to open. I recently saw a video of the Washington, D.C. Navy Yard shooting, and they showed the gunman go into a restroom with a backpack on and remove a shotgun from the backpack and come out, and he crouched around and basically was in a hunting stance as he went around the hallways of the building. When he got to the first door, the door was locked and he couldn't move it. He couldn't see through because the lights were on. The gunman immediately moved on to the next door down the hallway, which was open. He turned into that doorway, and then you hear shots fired. Whatever happened in there was out of the camera range, the surveillance camera. But the people that were in the room that was locked, their lives were saved because he couldn't force the door and he couldn't see inside, and he didn't want to waste the time to go in there. So quiet as possible. If you look around the room, look at the walls. If there's a cinder block wall, which many of our buildings have, as opposed to a sheetrock wall, put your back against the cinder block. It's more ballistic cover. It's stone as opposed to plaster on a sheetrock wall, okay? Again, silence on everything. Lights out. If you can't find the switch, I don't know where the switch is. This is not my room. Well, I have no problem if you get up on a chair or a table and break the light bulb. Not a problem. Make it dark. Pull the shades. Stay away from the windows. Do not stay in the hallway. Okay? And just wait until it's all clear for you to come out. We will continue to send you messages over the text messaging system. When you can, call 911. Let them know what room you're in. Let them know if anyone with you is injured or hurt, if they need medical attention. Okay? It's very important. And again, that description, if you can tell us what this gunman looked like. Okay, these are all things that I want you to do. Barricade the classroom door, close the lights, pull the shades, inform students to remain quiet. Remember, you're the faculty member here. You're the teacher. You're the authority figure. Believe it or not, you take control of that class. Okay, and I have no problem if you ask your student population, are there any former military people in my classroom? Are there any police officers taking this class? Let them know what's going on. They can be a big resource, okay? Especially if you're teaching graduate classes. There are a lot of veterans that go to school here and a lot of police officers that go to school here, all right? I like this picture. I like the way that door is barricaded, and the more you can layer your barricade, the safer it's going to be, the more difficult it's going to be for that gunman to open the door. And remember, go back to the beginning. They only have 4 to 9 minutes, according to FBI statistics, to complete this task. They're not going to take 2 or 3 minutes to remove the items that are blocking your door. They're going to move on, and you're going to be safe. Be observant. Look at this description. We want to know everything you can. Take a mental snapshot of the perpetrator if you see him. Did he have a hat on? What kind of hair? Did he have a shaved head? What color was his hair? Did he have a mustache? Any other facial hair? What kind of complexion did he have? What type of shirt or jacket? What color was the material? Did it have a collar? Was it an open shirt? Was he wearing a belt? What color was the belt? The type of pants, the material of the pants, the shoes. Were they boots? Were they sneakers? What color? Anything you can remember is so important to give to 911. Because as an eyewitness, you're the most important person that we have at that moment, okay? Don't open the door to any voice commands. If someone comes to the door and says they're public safety or they're police, and you do not believe it, and there's no reason that you should immediately, do not open the door. You're safe in there. Take the additional time to confirm that, in fact, those people outside the door are who they say. Okay, police identification cards can be fabricated. If someone says, I'll put my ID card under the door, that's fine and good. But don't take that as the final straw. Those things can be duplicated. So do not, until you're 100% satisfied, do not open the door for anyone. Okay, and one way that you can verify, get on the phone and call 911. 911 will have a direct radio link up if that's a true police officer outside that door. 911 will be able to speak to him, and they'll verify that, in fact, that is a police officer outside of whatever room you're in, and it's okay for you to come out. And until 911 says so, please do not leave the room, okay? It's only going to be a few more minutes, and it's not going to affect anybody if you stay in there, okay? When should you take action, or should you take action? There comes a point in time where a gunman might just come into the room you're in unexpectedly, and you didn't get time for a warning. There was no time for someone to send out a text message. And you know, these are the scariest times. But what the experts are saying is, if you're with a group of people, and if you could act collectively, that some people will survive the ordeal. If everybody just stands around and does nothing and lets the gunman have his way, everybody will die. But if collectively someone could throw an item, someone could throw hot coffee, someone could pick up a scissor, someone could throw a chair, that you might actually disrupt his actions enough that some of you will be able to take control of the gunman and knock the gun away from him. But if you do nothing, if you take no action, what's the alternative? It's going to be, he's going to shoot you. So there might be a time where you're going to have to act with physical aggression and try to overtake the gunman. Not the best choice, but if there's no other option, what are you going to do? So when the police finally do arrive and you're 1,000% sure that the police are on the scene, I want you to follow their instructions explicitly. Whatever they tell you to do, do it. They're upset, they're nervous, they're scared responding to one of these jobs. They're not looking for you to yell at them or scream at them, point at them. They don't want you to grab on them. What they're just looking for is, let me see your hands, let me see your hands, let me see your hands. If you ever watch any of those cop shows, that's all you hear cops yell out. Show me your hands, show me your hands. And that's what they want to do. Hands up, fingers out. Whatever can hurt the police officer is going to be contained in someone's hand. A razor blade, a knife, a gun, a stone, something of a blunt object. Those are the things that could hurt the cop. So he wants to see those fingers spread and your hands up. Remember not to touch anything at the crime scene. It's now a very, very large crime scene, and all of these things are going to have to be documented and photographed and checked for fingerprints and things like that. So do not touch anything. Just follow the officer's instructions explicitly, okay? No quick movements towards the officer. Remain at the scene. Once this is over, the gunman is either in custody or they've done what they've had to with the gunman. Remember that you are a material witness in what could be a multiple homicide or an assault, and police are going to have to take your statement. They're going to have to identify you, and you may testify later on in court for what you saw. So please do not leave until the police or public safety lets you know that it's okay to leave. All right? You will be a witness in what could be a very major crime. So if you remember these tips, folks, they might keep you safe, and you can avoid being a victim in one of these types of incidents.